Hi guys! Today we're going to have a piano tutorial on the first piece of Einaudi's new album Underwater. The piece is called Luminous and the album is the first album of piano music that Einaudi has composed for 20 years. So to start, let's introduce the album with some of the words of the maestro himself.
It came naturally more than ever before. I felt a sense of freedom to abandon myself and let the music flow differently. I didn't have a filter between me and what came out of the piano. It felt very pure. The title Underwater is a metaphor. It is an expression of a very fluid dimension without interference from outside.
Okay, so let's get started. First of all, let's look at how Einaudi tells us to play. So, andante intimo, so that means at a gentle walking pace, and intimately. Sospeso, so suspended, and flexible. So that gives us a good idea. The key is D flat major. So if we imagine the word luminous, to me, luminous, it means the sunlight, effervescent, sparkling sunlight, you could imagine. And I think when we hear the piece, you could imagine maybe walking through a forest with the sunlight streaming through down onto you. I'll play the opening and just see if you can hear the sunlight. So an interesting thing I'd like to say about D flat major, to me it's the perfect key for this piece. I have something called synaesthesia, and it's where I can see colours connected with different keys or notes. So D flat major to me is golden. D major, yellow. E flat major, red. So I don't see them around me, it's more internal, I see it in my head. And a lot of composers had this. So Liszt famously had synaesthesia, Sibelius, Scriabin, Messiaen, and loads of artists and musicians these days. Even Billie Eilish and her brother, they have many forms of synaesthesia. Only for me, it's just sounds and colour that's sort of linked. And so for me, D flat major being golden, being yellow, and the piece is called Luminous, it's perfect because golden light, yellow, luminous, D flat major, wow, it's just perfect. So that's quite interesting. Liszt would funnily say things, for example, to an orchestra and say, play more blue, or that was too rose, that was too pink, be more violet. And at first the orchestra thought he was joking or something, and then they soon learned that actually he was giving actual musical directions using colour because it was so clear for him. What I wrote at the top of my score on my piece of music here, the words that came to my mind when I played the piece: magical, luminous light, pure relaxation and bliss, lost in the moment of peace, with only fleeting glimpses of real life. That's how the music feels to me. The fleeting glimpses of the minor key as we move through the piece are just that. There's, apart from one section, we're at peace. So let's start playing through and seeing what we notice. Left hand begins with a simple arpeggio, with right hand just descending steps. Bar 2, very similar. Left hand has the simple arpeggio, but it's touching on the minor key, B flat minor. But with the same falling steps, bringing the 6th, the A flat. So the minor key, it's just a hint. Let's have a listen to both bars. Just a little hint of reflection. Bar 3, back to the A flat. Now we've got F minor in the left hand, but it's in the second inversion, so it's floating. It's not down here, it's here. It's just floating, just the hint of sadness. So let's have that bar. Back to A flat major. Now very much like the first line, except the descending scale is just shortened a little bit. This time, instead of rising back up to the A flat, right hand goes down one more step to the C. Now this makes us feel a little sadder. So instead of up to the A flat the second time, a little bit sadder. So you feel that and show it whilst you play. And then you go back and we have very similar again. A mixture of 4 downward steps and 3 downward steps. Now, have you noticed how many times we return to the high A flat? Almost it feels like a little bell. A flat. And again. Again, this happens so much. So really the first couple of lines, as is very often, in fact always the case in Einaudi, he uses the material again and again, slight variations, slight touches of different mood. So let's jump ahead to bar 15, so the last line of the first page, and watch out for when we move into G flat major, which is a really dolcissimo moment. Ready? Beautiful moment, but unfortunately it's tempered by fleeting sadness as we move through B flat major. This time, not in the second inversion, not floating. We've got that root. We've got our B flat at the bottom. So G flat. Our downward steps here now are turned on their head and they're upward steps, and we're asking a question. And it's a serious question because we're back in F minor and it's quite clear. And then back to G flat. Oh, what a relief. And then listen out there. So you're on bar 20, 21, 22, 23. Listen out for that inner voice, the D flat, moving down to the C. And the resolve. So the first page, imagine we're walking through a wood. Early in the morning, absolutely at peace, blissful sunlight streaming through, and we're in our, for Einaudi, his lockdown bubble, where he was at peace, he was at one with nature, and you can feel the peace, you can feel the calm, you can feel he's lost in this. Any touches of the minor, they're fleeting. They're just hints, they're just suggestions. Maybe he just remembers what's actually going on, but he's still in his meditative bubble. So just something to mention, the Italian directions at the top of the score, I'm not sure how to say it, flessibile. I have a friend, Renata, who probably will be watching, who lives in Milan, and she probably could tell me how to pronounce it. Flessibile, I think, perhaps, and it's flexible. Now, if you listen to Einaudi's performance of the piece, you will hear, if you compare it to the score, there's quite some anomalies with the rhythm of how he plays the piece and how it's actually written down. And I think basically we can take time. He dwells, he waits, he pauses. So for example, the first bar, let's just do an example. In fact, do you know what I will do is I will play a little bit of Einaudi, how he is being flexible with the rhythm. So for example, I'll play the first couple of bars. It's written straight up to that A flat. And then if we listen to Einaudi, I think we'll hear he pauses on the D flat. So that's something to be a little bit aware of, that take time, you can be flexible, you can express this piece exactly how you wish to. When you have a group of 3 semiquavers or 16th notes, for example, in bar 4, Einaudi really nearly all the time he pauses on the last one. So for example, this is how it's written. So straight up to the A flat. So how he would do. So more, it could really be semi, then a quaver rather than 3 semiquavers. So that is quite interesting, the difference. But what it means for us is you're at liberty. Take your time, pause where you feel the pause, you know, that which is nice. You know, with the composer's given us liberty. So the middle, what I call the middle section, in fact, it comes back later on as well. Bar 25, again, we've got flessibile as the direction. And what we've got here is broken chords. Really, really simple. But I think what would be very interesting to do is let's listen to the harmony and then we'll feel what the music means. So we've got D flat major. B flat at the bottom with D flat major, F minor, not rooted, second inversion, and A flat. So, question, fleeting sadness from reflection, oh, relief. And then it does it again. Sadness, relief. Oh, now listen. Beautiful harmony, and then so I would recommend play it in chords to start with, so and just feel each of the harmonies. You know, when I teach children or students to play, you know, we listen all the time to what does each harmony feel like and describe it, and that's what you need to do. And so basically this section, it reminds me, in fact, the whole piece and actually the whole album reminds me of a painter painting not with colour, with sound. It's almost like the piano hasn't got to have hammers. Very impressionistic. So like the impressionist composers like Debussy, Ravel. So imagining the piano doesn't have hammers and it's almost like air blowing rather than hammers striking the strings. So a painter of sound. That's how I would describe this section. On his walk, and he took his daily walks, did Einaudi in lockdown. It feels that gentle flowing movement. So the whole of this section is 4 lines, and it's hypnotic, it's meditative, it repeats the rhythm, it just moves through the harmonies gently. And let's just quickly look at when we get to page 3. We basically, reality strikes for a moment. It really touches for a moment. We basically enharmonically, so we've been touching the G flat at the bottom here, and it's changing to F sharp, not G flat, F sharp minor. Rather serious key, you know. It's we've really remembered what's going on, I think. And here, when we get to here, it's a relief, but he's actually written it as C sharp major, not D flat major. C sharp major feels different. D flat major is golden light and bliss. C sharp major, it's got a more serious sort of feeling. And then the next line, really gonna ask the question, is it really happening? Oh, and we sink to a little bit of relief, an A major, very surprisingly. And he puts a writ here, so take your time, and a pause. It's really asking a question. Is it really happening? Are we really in this awful time? And then, as if to give us peace again, we're back to and then it's very much like the opening page. Straight onto the last page, we have a return of our chordal broken chords. So a tip for this, if you saw my 3 top piano tips video that I did, I'll link it above. Feel to the bed of the notes, because this is pianissimo, PP. It's got to be really quiet, really controlled, and so gentle. So we feel to the bed of the notes to make sure we're secure that we're playing the notes. They're all going to sound, basically. And again, remember, there's no hammers. This is just pure sound. And you'll notice throughout the piece, Einaudi makes very slight changes. For example, on that first line of the last page there, the first time it was, this time it's just. So I would recommend when you're playing this, go through and spot all those differences, mark them on your score, so you know each tiny difference has a little different feeling. Now the last 2 lines, jumping ahead, più largo, so more slowly, but largo isn't just slowly, it's broadly as well. And we've got a P, so we're a little bit louder here. Broader, so just listen and enjoy each of these resonating with a nice long pedal. A pause is coming a question. The harmony is going to be questioning. A touch of B flat minor. And we've got our fleeting glimpse of real life with a little bit of F minor. And then relief, we're going to resolve, but not to our home key, to A flat major, which gives a whole new hopeful feeling. Completely different colour from the almost ethereal D flat major to So I think the whole thing of this piece, enjoy the harmonies, take time, enjoy the pedal. Always when you're playing something like this, make sure your pedal's down, your right pedal is down before you start to play. So those dampers are off the strings, ready to resonate. It's slightly different, I guess, if you're playing on a keyboard, but it... So that's a little look through. If anybody has any technique questions that they would like me to answer, just pop them in the comments below. It's a very simple piece, really, really rewarding and lovely to play. And I hope that looking through it with me has sort of helped a little bit, and it's been enjoyable. It's a magical piece and it's a magical album. And so next I'll be going on to Rolling Like a Ball here, and I'll do my performance video of it, and then we'll pop a little tutorial on. So like and subscribe if you found this useful, helpful or enjoyable, and leave me a message down in the comments and I'll answer any questions you have. Thank you for watching. Love you guys. Bye.